Good afternoon, everybody. Are we all well? Yes. Brilliant. Disruptive change in automotive. Really interesting talks this morning and just before me about the technology that's going into cars. And is that technological development evolutionary? Technically revolutionary? Is it disruptive? Well, I think about it, my first car, I had a key, and I turned the lock and it opened the driver's door. And if I wanted to open the passenger doors, I had to lean over and unlock them. And then we went to central locking and flippers, and now we've got keyless, and if I really want to, I can unlock my car on my phone. Is that disruptive change or is that evolutionary change? And you can ask exactly the same thing about braking systems on cars, where we went from drums to discs to ceramic discs. We had ABS, we've now got traction control. Is that evolutionary development of a braking system, or is that disruptive change? Well, actually, they can be both. And I'll go through why I've made that statement, because they can be both evolutionary and disruptive. So, disruptive change has been something people have talked about for centuries. And if we actually go back to the 6th century, Heraclitus said, the only constant in life is change. Yeah, well, anybody could say that. And then a bit later on, a couple of centuries later, Plato, who we all know, sort of analysed it, and his view on it was slightly different. So he sort of dug into it like philosophers, and he was like, well, says that all things pass, nothing stays the same, and comparing things like a river, you never step in the same river because it's always different every time you step in it. And then take that forward again, and Benjamin Franklin looked at exactly the same thing, and he said, well, when you finish changing, you've finished. But they're all talking about the same thing, change. And it was only when you started looking at change in relation to its application that it started getting really interesting. And Machiavelli wrote a book called The Prince, and it was actually a guide for future royals on how to manage national change. And that could be political change, financial change. And it was a guidebook, and it was actually quite astute in that when you look at major change, disruptive change, there's those who love it and those who hate it, and those will be detractors and try and stop it, and those will try and push it forward. And if we think about that, about automotive at the moment, which side of that argument would you put standards, regulation, asking members of the public what they want to see about autonomous vehicles and autonomy? Which side of the argument are they on? Do they want to keep the status quo, or do they want to push and deliver something different that's disruptive? So it is about challenging the status quo, and that gets really complex. We've already discussed this morning data ethics, privacy, security, openness, appropriateness, trust, impact, inclusiveness, and you could talk about each one of those words and have a session on it. But now we look at the application and changing established methodologies. Our ability to capitalize on that opportunity and understanding the risks, adapting business models and not being a slave to the machine. Well, how have other people done this in other industries? What's happened to them? Can we learn from that? And if we try and look at disruptive change in automotive, this is what we're experiencing with connected vehicles, the data. So it's not that evolutionary change of central locking systems or braking systems. It's actually the data that tells us what that vehicle's doing, how that vehicle is experiencing the road, and the ability to collect that data from millions of vehicles to get insights we never had before. And the disruptive change will be the application of the data from those changes, those technical changes to vehicles. So disruptive change is occurring when fundamental concepts and processes of an industry and a business start shifting. And we heard earlier about the shifting business models of manufacturing cars, moving to services around them. We've all seen it. We used to buy cars. We used to own them. Now we tend to lease them because we can get what we could never buy. How's this changed other industries? Well, it's changed in computing, social media, entertainment, travel. We've all got mobile phones. Well, it's not a mobile phone, is it? It's a smartphone. It replaced your camera, your word processor, the laptop you used to do stuff on, your voice recorder. You can search the web. It's not just a mobile phone. And if I said to you 5 years ago even, you're going to pick your phone up and you'll go, "Hey Siri, what's the average size of an Indian African elephant's ear?" And that it told you the answer and you believed it? You'd tell me I was stupid, bonkers, never going to happen. And yet we're asking members of the public now what they want to see about autonomous vehicles and autonomy when they haven't had the chance to experience it. They might think we're mad, they don't know what we're talking about, but we're using it as an input to evolutionary change our ideas as we go forward. Couple of examples. That's a 3.5-inch floppy disk. It's not floppy. The original 5.25 was floppy, and then you went to Winchester drives, and then you had solid state drives. Oh, and now it's a cloud. It's a cloud. Fine. Data's in the cloud, it's not on a floppy disk. Typewriters. How many people have used a typewriter? One that you used to tap away at and the ribbon got stuck? Yeah, there's a few hands. Yeah, there we go. Well, word processing killed that one off, didn't it? They're now in museums and coffee shops. Letters. The Pony Express got killed by trains who could then do telegrams. Telegrams became postal letters. Postal letters became email. Instant versions of what used to be carried on a horse's back. That's disruptive change. LinkedIn. We used to have to search trade press to find out what was going on, to read the latest articles. Now you just go to LinkedIn and we can meet people, we can chat with them. Music industry. Vinyl to cassette to digital tape to CD. Who remembers Napster? Napster started off making music available online, your own libraries. Now we get Spotify, we get Apple Music, we get Google Play. All those industries, what they were delivering were fundamentally disrupted. Same with video. Videotapes, DVDs, streaming online, now Netflix, and everybody does broadcast online. Same with photographs. You used to remember when you used to take slides around to your friends and you'd do your holiday photos and you print them out? Nah, just put them on Facebook now. Don't care who looks at them. Oh, well, I got a like. I've talked about telephones. Yeah, telephones are great, but do we need fixed lines anymore? We've got voice over IP. The whole telephone industry has been disrupted. Now we start getting interesting. We look at whole markets. Hotel chains, Airbnb, changed them. For the better? Yes, because the service you got suddenly improved when you went to a proper hotel. You look at something automotive related, a bit like Uber. What was the impact Uber had on yellow taxis, on the black cabs, on private hire? It changed the market and the perception of the market and the pricing of the market. And this is the interesting one, Wikipedia. Wikipedia became an online dictionary. We all remember the Encyclopedia Britannica. It was where everybody went. We bought them and we had them on our bookshelves and we wanted to know something. School projects, got the encyclopedia out, copied it word for word. We all did it. Now we do it through Google. And Google goes to places like Wikipedia, which are social libraries for data. So what's happening to all the data that's coming off connected vehicles? Well, it's getting collected and centralized in exactly the same way, and it will be accessible for new services in exactly the same way. So in our market, raw content is being readily available, reviews of standards are happening because you can measure things in different ways. We're moving from fixed processes to hybrid models. Revenue models are changing. I just look at what Gaist do, where we do highway condition modeling with imagery compared to scrim and scanner. That's 50-year-old technology. It's spot testing, where we can do a national network from connected car data. Things like, where are all the harsh braking hotspots in the UK? Well, I can tell you, there's actually about 15 million incidents a month. That's information. Well, it's useless. It's 15 million a month. When you start clustering it and analysing it and prioritising it, you get to know where the hotspots are, where accidents are going to happen, not where they have happened historically. The same as road friction. So there's a lot changing, and it's about data. To maximise the benefit for all of us, we have to be open. We've heard that quite a lot. We have to be honest and transparent regarding those challenges. We need to work collectively to maximise the benefit for everybody, and be brave and explore those opportunities. But bear in mind, there's going to be winners and losers in all this. The inevitable will happen. Change will come. It's just a question of how we're going to deal with it. Thank you very much.